I'm gonna go deep into the project of my remix of Loud Luxury's Body, which was a massive major hit, and I was really, really like a little timid probably to remix this because it was already such a huge anthem across the world. But I think I managed to capture some pretty cool stuff, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I did with all automation, why I chose the sounds I did, and yeah, how they all came together. And sometimes a lot of this won't make sense because I've done stuff here and there that I only do at that certain point. It's like it's not something that just repeats itself, and I'll tell you why too. So I'm thinking I'm gonna tell you a little bit about why I wanted to like show this as well. It's the fact that it's actually a very simple track. In many ways, this is a very simplistic track. There's not much on it, but I still think it sounds pretty full, and it's sort of like a balance to get this to sound right. Like for example, the main lead is technically three. The bass is also technically three pieces. So it's just like doing it right without making it sounding too messy. So what I'm going to show you right now is just technically how the drums sound. And it really isn't a lot of drums. I'm going to go to a certain point, like when it drops here and when it's have all the drums. So I'm just going to close that, and we're going to go to 97. This is the amount of drums I use when it's full, like when everything is coming together. And I can just show you here. That's it. It's not much. It's a loop, a little bit of shaker and hi-hat, and yeah, claps, your usual suspects. And the reason why I don't use more is basically because there's already so much stuff there. I always had like this philosophy: if you have a really good idea, it should work with just a kick, a bass, and the lead. Like if you have all of those things and they work together, you actually don't need to add much. So basically, this is just to keeping it running forward, if you know what I mean. So we're gonna start a little bit here. I'm gonna show you. So, for example, here I have percussions that is only there. I don't use them any other times in the track, and that's just because of the build-up. So, technically, the only reason I'm using it there is just to add something extra, because when I use it with, like for example, with the vocal and everything, it's just going to sound messy. So what I'm going to do now, because this is my favorite part, is always making like the break, like getting to the atmosphere. And for me, people say that, yeah, piano is overused, piano is this. You know what? I love piano still. They make it such an atmospheric sound, and then it makes it more of an acoustic live feeling, if you know what I mean. And this is technically just a Nexus Piano Ballad Grand Piano. I mean, even the name says it's kind of like an acoustic thing. But as you can hear, it's quite like, I filtered it quite down just to give it like a sort of like a nice little ambience. It's not much reverb, not much anything. It just, and all I did there was adding like a bass layer to the piano. So you have this little floaty, cute little thing. But when you want to add a little bit of emphasis to the track, I added like another sub layer on it. And now the filter is coming up again as well. Still the same sound, but this sounds a lot heavier already, and it's the same sound. And then I added a little bit of side chaining there just because I actually have a kick coming in here. I'll show it to you. I'll filter a little thing. Just to make sure that those things doesn't clash. I added like I think maybe like 50% of the sidechain in power, and that's it, just to make sure that it doesn't clash and it doesn't distort, it doesn't conflict with each other. And already now, because I've added like the extra bass layer to the piano, that would actually make it a little bit of a problem. What I like to do is when it comes to the kick, I don't want to show the kick too early, like when it's in the break. So I take away a lot of like the, as you can see here. So in the break, when I use the kick, I take away a lot of the lows and a lot of the highs. So it has this little bit of a like a boxy kind of feeling. Because all you want it to do is to give a little bit of like thumping power in the break, but you don't want it to be like overwhelming. You don't want it to overtake all the beautiful stuff that's going on. So I just try to like tame it a bit, if you can put it like that. So it's just there for like a little bit of effect. When you're listening to this right now already, this sounds pretty cool, but for a break to actually really work, you kind of have to have layers. You kind of have to add some stuff to make it more atmospheric and probably a little bit more interesting as well. Obviously, when it comes to this, we already have like the vocal that is going. And let's see if you guys remember this vocal. For me, this is one of the coolest vocals ever. It's such a, I would say a non-electronic track vocal, but it still works so well with electronic music. So we have this little thing.
Babe, don't make a sound. 2 a.m. low, gotta keep it down. Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verb, I ain't talking nouns. You wanna ride in the 6, you wanna down in the 6.
There's already a lot of melody and a lot of stuff going on in the actual vocal, somewhat because of effects, but also because he is very up and down in his voice. So it's basically, it feels quite a lot. Now, if you put this together with the piano, and it comes in.
Babe, don't make a sound. 2 a.m. low, gotta keep it down.
And that's the reason why I wanted to use it, because like this little skinny thing in the beginning.
Babe, don't make a sound. 2 a.m. low, gotta keep it down. Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verb, I ain't talking nouns. You wanna ride in the 6, you wanna down in the 6. But when I lean for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. And I'm like, hell no, been waiting too long. Hell no, I want that cool.
See, already it starts building onto something. It creates sort of like a tension, like something's really cool is about to happen. But I still think like when I make a track like this, I don't want it to be without like power and like a rhythmical element for too long, because in the end, people on the floor, they really wait for you to like get them up and try to come dancing and just like get into a rhythm, which is kind of tough when you just have like a boom, 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 boom. I mean, it doesn't really make me want to dance, but what I really like is to use and again, more acoustic elements, like pianos and stuff like that. I still love the fact that they have such a clean and honest sound. I mean, they sound the way they're supposed to. So let me just take away the vocal for a little bit, and I'll play something that I think is pretty cool. So. That's a slap bass, and a lot of people didn't think that like it worked in electronic music. I think it works perfectly. If you listen to like old house tracks as well, there's a lot of slap bass in them, and Daft Punk, I mean, they killed it. So but if you listen to these together, makes it come alive. So it's pretty cool. I love the fact when you have vocals as well that you're giving a little bit of this live feeling, because let's face it, like some people might not understand everything that goes on in electronic music, and it's good to bring familiar elements to it as well. And I still love anything guitar and piano. What I think is really cool is when this magic happens, when you add the acoustic elements with the electronic ones. pretty cool, right? So you have something that is not technically natural within electronic music, meeting something that is extremely electronic music, and I think it just works really well. When you have a vocal like he has that is kind of organic, you wanna you wanna try to keep a little bit of that essence as well, and that's what I wanted to do in this remix. And I wanted to make it darker, and for me to make it darker, like pads and atmospheric sounds like this, for example, just a minor going along the line. If you listen to the original track, you would never feel like this fitting anywhere. But I just thought like I wanted their original track, which was really kind of like happy, summerish and stuff. I wanted to have like sort of a contrast to that. So I thought, okay, if you make it like really minor and like steadily like a little bit more darker, it would make it stand out a bit more than like just a clean remix of it and just doing what they did with all the chord changes. So I did my own chord changes, and I still think it worked.